Yeah. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody?
Yup.
Welcome to the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. I'm Jugrnaut,
I am Mike Trauma D.
and together we are the platinum production team, Arkatech Beatz. We're gonna put the hand claps in there for us now. We're doing that now in the beginning. But if it's your first time here, welcome. Do a little housekeeping, of course. If you haven't liked, comment, and subscribe, please make sure you do that. Share with a friend. Every week we get together and we just share music industry topics and tips and resources. We just try to give everybody a little bit of game and try to help people to save time, money, trying to make it in the music business. So this week we got some different topics. We want to try to get into this real quick. The first topic we're trying to get into today is really the importance of knowing how or learning how to do things yourself, right? Because it's an independent sphere. The next thing we're going to get into after that is basically negative press. Not all press is good press. And also we want to get into, not really relying on the label machine, right? For those who may be, lucky enough to be in the game and have a deal, how you still need to know how to do it yourself, and you really can't rely on the label machine. But the label machine is going to be more of a supplement. So let's get into it. So let's get into the first topic. The importance of knowing how to do it yourself. This is a new time in music business. Everything is kind of you know do it yourself, right?
Right.
So it's like DIY. You know, um, artists got to know how to do things themselves, and let's talk about it.
Jug, if you think about it, man, a lot of greats started out doing it themselves anyway. A lot of doors were slammed in their faces, trying to approach labels and trying to get deals. Even look at our situation, Um, you know, in order for us to get on, we have to do things ourselves.
Yeah,
You know, they say Jay and Dame had to do a lot of situations themselves before they even attracted a deal. They went around to a bunch of labels, they all closed their doors, and they had to do it themselves. So, with all that saying, you gotta put it together yourself. And yes, yeah, we always say about having a good team, but you yourself have to want it. You yourself have to like start to learn certain things about this game and start putting the pieces together and learn to start doing things yourself. You know, um, you're looking for beats, nobody's giving you beats, and you're having problems with that. Then maybe you should start thinking about getting your own gear and putting it together. Because doing beats is not as hard as
as
it
it
used to
used
be.
to be,
You
right?
know,
As it used to be, and that's and that's
um,
and that's
um,
funny because we saying that because it's kind of like you driving business away, but the reality is
yeah,
that you can do things yourself.
yeah. Artwork. There were times when you know we were trying to get some artwork done, and say, you know what, this is not going to be either cost efficient, or it's just not. The people that you're reaching out to is not seeing the vision, so it was becoming a headache. So we do it ourselves. Do it yourself. There's a lot of things that you can just do yourself, and it doesn't cost any real money or any money at all. You have other websites out there that can actually help you and get you things that you could kind of like subcontract to get a lot of things for you as well. So with all that saying, do it yourself, man. Get in the habit of doing things yourself. Get in the habit of, you know, if you get to a roadblock, okay, how can I get this done myself?
It's crazy that you say that because it's like I really remember like in the beginning, you know, I was trying to rap, for those who might know, this is a very, very long time ago. And, you know, we couldn't get beats. Like we would go to these guys' houses, these guys would have, go to, be in different projects, we'd be in different places, guys would have beats, they're playing beats. And we'd be like, all right, listen, I want to go to the studio, I got a little bread, let's go to the studio, so forth, so on. And nobody would give us the beats. So it just got to the point where it's like, all right, I put my bread together and I just started to buy sampling equipment, right? And the rest is history. Like after that, there was nothing else that I had to learn how to do it myself. Um, there was just no way to get people to get what we needed. Even if it came down to us setting up our studio, setting up our websites, we try to outsource it. We couldn't get the help that we needed. We had to learn how to do it ourselves. Um, And then once you get to the point where you start making a good bag, you know, yeah, you can start to hire, proficient help. But it's like at least you still know how. So that
Right.
even that when you are hiring people, you can always have the knowledge to really be able to give them your vision clearly.
Right.
Because like, if you don't know how to do something, you can't tell your vendor, I need it to look like this or I need it to sound like this, because it's a different language when you're talking about, say you're doing Photoshop or if you're doing video editing and stuff like that. Like you need to be able to kind of talk the jargon and say, hey, I need it to look like this. Let's use this tool to do this. And you can give them direct things to do. So
Right.
it's always good um, to know what you're doing and then be able to kind of translate that to the person that you have for hired help. One person that's doing really well
Hmm.
with doing it themselves, Tory Lanez, right?
Hmm.
Um, you see what's going on. Like he's had a whole bunch of issues going on, in the last year or two, and
Hmm.
he's just been dropping music, dropping music, dropping music, dropping music. And he's recently was on the Breakfast Club, and he was talking about just the amount of money that he can earn just off streams. Because he gets a certain amount of daily listens, a certain amount of daily or monthly listens, and he was breaking down those numbers, and those numbers were like in the hundreds of thousands per day, in terms of revenue being earned. You
Right.
know, so it's a testament to artists like him, artists like Russ, guys that just kind of know how to work the machine, how to work the do it themselves. They do everything themselves, and then as they start to get more money, then they outsource it, and then they start to get like dedicated marketing people, dedicated promo
Right.
people,
But
dedicated
also,
video people.
it also increases your value. It
Yeah,
increases your skill set. You become a commodity to others as well. If you want to use that as leverage to get you to certain situations and certain deals, if you already know how to do certain things, now that's something you don't have to always rely on the next person or even the record label to handle. So there's certain things that nah, I don't need that. I can handle that myself. Give me the bag for that. You
right.
know. So the more things you know how to do yourself, the less you have to ask for. You know. So if you're coming into a situation, you got an opportunity, you come into a situation and they're like, hey, we'll give you this, and that, but we need this big chunk of your ownership of your catalog or something. You can say, nah, but I don't need all of that. I just need this and that. So you know what I'm saying? It just the leverage is just so much better if you just know so much more and you're able to do so much more. So I think the trick is when you get into this business, take the time out to study, man. Take time out to learn different things, different areas. I mean, production to marketing and I don't just mean it in a broad sense, but actually knowing how to slap a decent album cover together or a poster or a website. You know, get a good of idea of how you want to put that together and how it's done because that's going to save you a whole lot of issues later on down the line if you know how to do it.
It's and remember what's happening now too is the way content is consumed.
Hmm.
Right, it's consumed so much faster. So it's like if you're in a position where you can do it yourself, you can meet that type of demand to
Yep.
put things out faster. You know, um, I was thinking about just the way that I'm just looking at the way certain artists are moving and how they're, like some artists have, like you said, huge gaps in between the time that they're dropping, and you can tell the ones that are doing it themselves and the
Hmm.
ones that's kind of relying on, you know, um, other things to help. The ones that are doing it themselves, music is coming out back to back to back to back. The ones that are you kind of relying on different things to help them,
Uh-huh.
they're not coming out as frequent.
Which is crazy because with technology you should be able to knock things out a whole lot faster.
That's the whole game. Is that you're supposed to be able to do it faster. That's the whole point. We've talked about um, artists and producers Hey, get your equipment, get your computers. It's all for you to be able to put things out. So if you can't put things out at a quick clip, it kind of creates that type of situation.
Joe, there's no real excuse. Now that we really put it out there. There's no real excuse. Everybody has a phone, and these phones are capable of shooting freaking 4K movies,
At this point,
HD,
yes.
and all of that. There's no excuse that you can't utilize your phone with all of these apps that's available at your fingertips to create content, whether it's to artwork or record or there's people doing beats on their phones. Like
So,
I've done sketches on the phone as far as beats and then been able to transfer it over.
so what do you think it is? What do you think it is that's preventing artists from, creating at a higher clip, from really putting out more quality content? To your point, because like you
It's
said, the new iPhone is 4K, right? I've seen it in comparisons to big, DSLR rigs, right? You got
mhm,
all types of stabilization. You got all types of editing software. You
yeah.
got, TikTok has like the cap cut and all these type of things. Like you
Um
got all of these things that'll help you to edit your videos, help you to do things, make short form, long form content. Um, you got all this software to, between GarageBand
yeah,
to Logic to everything,
everything.
Ableton, whatever you may name. You got all of these platforms. What do you think is really stopping artists from
This
getting into their bag, doing what they got to do, releasing music at a high clip,
it's
quality music at that?
it's so many things, man. We could say it's a lack of discipline. You
I believe
know,
that more than
um,
anything,
we could
consistency.
say we could say it's poor time management. You know, we can also say it's ignorance because you have these things, but you're not taking the initiative to go and uh, search out and figure out how to get it done. You know, um, look, I know these young kids want to get out there and have fun and party and stay out all night, wait in line to get the latest sneakers, smoke out. But if you want to do this professionally, man, you got to carve out some real time to sit down and study all the areas of this music business that's going to be able to help you. If we don't take that time out, and when I say take that time out, you have to sacrifice some time to actually study these areas, figure out, okay, how do I do this? Okay, what are the steps that it's going to take? And to be honest, Jug, a lot of people are, and I'm just gonna say they're just too lazy. They rather the quick fast flip. They don't want to put in the hard work. And the hard work is simply just, sacrificing the time, finding out, okay, how do I do this? Doing a Google search, watching the videos, reading the books, doing the tutorials, trying it, failing, doing it over, trying again, failing, reaching out to people who know what they're talking about, know what they're doing. You have to be very hungry, determined, disciplined. You got to be a beast if you want to get through this. And there's so many people that want to do this, but they're not putting it all. They say they are, but that requires some real discipline. You know,
And that's I guess that's what separates the men from the boys.
yeah, you gotta put just certain things. You just gotta put away. Like I remember one year specifically, I did not like for one summer. Like I stayed inside the house just making beats every day, and I'll shoot up by your side and make work on some more beats and write. Like friends were like, "Yo, you gonna come out? You gonna hang out? You gonna go to the park? We're gonna play some ball and this and that." And I was just like, "Nah, I wanted it too bad. Like I was so much in the zone, you know." And at the same time, when your back is against the wall, and you really want to do this, you gotta do the necessary things. You gotta and when I say the necessary things, you gotta do the necessary right things. You know, you gotta utilize the computer And there's a lot of people, funny enough, Jug, and it's crazy. Even in this era we are, there are a lot of people who don't know how to utilize the
How to
computer.
use a computer.
They
It's
don't
it.
they don't know how. Like I know people in the hood personally. I know that they ask me questions, and I'm saying, yo, you could type that in your Google search and you get that answer. And there are people that I'm like, there's certain like fam that I have that I'm like, I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm not going to make it easy for you. That you're going to keep coming to me because it creates
A little bit
you
of
know what I'm saying? You
dependency, yeah.
spoil them. So I'm like, yo, open up your phone, get a Google. That same question just asked me. Type it in, see what pops up. The whole list of stuff. I said, okay, open that up, read through it, then read through the next one, cross reference it, see if that makes sense, try it out. Oh, that's the answer. There you go. See what you just did? That was some research you just did. So now it puts you in a, okay. Now it opens up your mind to, okay. Let me try some other questions. How do I make beats? What programs are the best? You know, um, I'm having trouble multitasking. What are some of the tips and techniques that I need to do? Like everything is right there in front of you. You gotta utilize it. If you're serious about this business, if you're serious about anything, you got to do your research if you expect to be successful in it. It's bottom line.
Bottom line, you can't. I listen. There's nothing I can say behind that.
Yeah, man. They
Like
they they play, they
that's
playing
really one on
games.
one.
They playing games, man.
Yeah,
Like you don't really want it. You don't really want it. You want a handout. You want somebody to do the work for you. You ain't gonna get it like that.
it's instant it's instant gratification time, bro. Instagram, you get it. They want everything instant. They
Yeah,
want it microwaved. They don't,
yeah.
they don't like like. If do you realize that we didn't have almost 75% of the tools everybody got now?
Right, right. We didn't have internet. We didn't have all these things. We had to make the mistakes on our own, and we sharing with you like how we got past it. We're sharing with you some of the journeys that we've been on, some of the mistakes we made, so that like even this podcast is giving you information. We
Like
giving you
really
we
giving
giving
a
you
lot of
information. You know what I'm
information.
saying? And we didn't have this. So it's like, yo, just take the information, man. This is free. Take the information and apply it. Make it work and further this culture, further this whole thing. This like hip hop was able to do so much for us, and
Word.
it could do a whole lot for you as well. But you gotta put into it. You gotta put in and further this culture. You know what
And
I
it's
mean?
funny because people be complaining. They be like, "Yo, the OGs don't this, the OGs don't that." Even when you put in the information, you guys ain't checking for
Yeah, man.
it.
You gotta, man. You gotta check in for it. You gotta do the research. It's there. It's there, but you gotta dig for it. You gotta dig for it. You gotta accept it. And a lot of these youngins are, and I don't even say youngins, man. It's just everyone. There's a lot of people in general that just, they're ignorant. They want it quick and fast. And I'll tell you this, man. You take the time out and you study all these areas. You pick up, the right books. All about the music business. Don Les Passman. You pick that up. You check out our podcast, a couple other people's podcasts. You know, and you get online and you start moving around. You know, you're gonna start seeing, yeah, like your information, your knowledge is gonna start to grow in this, and then you be able to apply it. Yeah, there are gonna be times you're gonna fail, but that's just life. You fail, but you learn from it. I tell this to my son all the time. Ain't nothing wrong with failing as long as you're learning from it.
I want you to learn from
If you fail and don't learn nothing, then that's an issue. But if you fail and you figure it out, like, oh, okay, that's what I did wrong. So let me apply this to it, and you get moving, you get back on that horse and get going. Then that's success right there.
it.
So the thing is, you need to soak up all the information that you can, so you could actually limit some of these unnecessary failures, because some of them is unnecessary. Some of them really put you back. Sometimes this information is right here, and people are like, I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna do it that way.
because
Okay,
that was your journey. Remember, that's the thing. It's like
okay,
everybody says that's your journey. you're putting your fear on me. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that, you know,
Fundamentals. There's certain fundamentals.
yeah, there are certain fundamentals, there are certain baseline information that remains the same across the board, right? So certain things do remain the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like there's only one way to get the shit. You know, the ball has to go into the hoop, right? That's how you score, right? Now, granted, you can score different ways, but fundamentally, it has to go through the hoop in order for it to score. So it's
Right.
really the same thing that we're trying to tell you. In certain situations, you know, you have to go certain ways, and this is the baseline. And then, of course, you can take a different path, but
Right.
you know, we're trying to get to the same result. At the end of
Right.
the day, it's kind of like we're trying to create, or we're trying to give you the blueprints, you know, things that you can look out for, because you know, along the way, there are landmines. You know that, and I know this. That there's just this business is set to destroy a lot of people.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah. It
It's
was
gonna
built
just
against. It was built against us.
it's yeah, it's built to make a lot of people broke.
Yeah.
It's built to get people hooked on, you know, substance abuse.
Absolutely.
It's you know, it's built to make you, in some cases, mentally ill. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, because if you don't know how to deal with success and failure, if you don't know how to deal with celebrity, then this is where the highs and lows go. So when people are trying to give you the game on it and trying to teach you a way that you can do it yourself and be self-sufficient, because if you're able to kind of create your ecosystem outside of the label situation, when the label does come on, you're like superpowered, you know. And I
Yes.
think that's where you see like the biggest artists like the Drakes or the people like that who, yeah, they have the label behind them, but if you notice, they have that team that kind of creates the you know, the baseline of what needs to be done, and then they control the narrative. And then you see other artists who are very successful also doing the same thing. Like, listen, you got to control, you know, whatever you can control, and then whatever the label adds on, the label adds on.
Yeah.
So just based off of that, let's pivot into, you know, the artists that may be relying too much on the label machine. And, you know, when you rely on the label machine too much, and you know, you have some instances where you don't go as far as you should go. And I think what we're seeing that happen play itself out is with the recent release of the Baby's album, who everybody's comparing it to his previous release, right? Which did, you know, somewhere over 100,000, and then now they're saying, hey, compared to this release, now it's only doing about, you know, less than 20K.
Hmm.
And they're trying to say that he's blackballed and so forth and so on. And I think there's a little bit of that, but I also think that too much reliance on the machine
Yeah.
and too much
Okay.
reliance on popularity, and not necessarily, you know, utilizing the tools that got him where he is, and kind of veering away from that. So I'm thinking that may
That's
be part of the issue. But what's your
yeah.
take on it?
That happens with a lot of artists though. A lot of artists. I've heard an artist actually say they actually Nori said it himself. Nori said, "Oh, the independent way is not the way for him."
Right. Some artists ain't good with it.
Yeah. I think it goes back to knowing how to do it yourself.
Yep.
Like it really just jumps right back to that. Like if you're relying on the label, that's pretty much saying that you don't know how to do things yourself. You know, um, if you were doing things yourself, if you knew how to handle this and handle that, when the label got involved, you know, you don't need to wait for them. You know, they're catching up to you. They're opening other doors that you're not concerned about, but you handling all this other stuff, and they got this going on. You can pivot over there, do that, come back, do what you got to do. You know, and at the same time, like I said, you increase your value. Now you can tell the label what you want, how to do it. I want it like this because you know. But when you don't know, you're relying on the label. Not only are you relying on what to do, but you're relying on them on how to structure your career, your deal, and your whole campaign. You know, if you don't know how to do this, when they do it, how do you know it's wrong? How do you know that it fits what you're trying to do? How do you know if it's going to be effective? You know, for you. You know, only you gonna know these things, and you got to take the time out to again study these things, know what kind of art you want to do, marketing, promo, what's going to work for you. You got to be the ones reaching out to fans and know who your fan base is, so that when you in the office, when you with these big labels, you know how to talk, you know how to move. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just rely heavily on them because they could tell you anything, and you're like, oh, okay. And then when your project fails, you blame the label. No, dude. Like this is your career.
It's a I hate to see what I'm seeing for him specifically because um he was one of the hottest,
Yeah,
if not
sure.
the hottest at one moment, which means he was earning a big bag.
Hmm.
And when you're earning a big bag, in my opinion, this is my opinion, and when you're earning money like that, it's different when you're going from nothing to independence and then trying to get it going.
Right.
Once you got it going, you're supposed to pay your way through all these things. That's my opinion. Like there should be no poor release if you've already earned the money. You've earned the
Hmm.
money to keep your machine going. So
Right.
so like you said, okay, let's say you didn't want to do it yourself.
Okay.
You earned enough money to pay people.
Right. But even though you earned enough money to pay people, you still have to be able to dictate. You got to be able to be like, okay, I want this. I don't want
Right.
that. You can't turn your back and leave them to do it.
Right.
You still got to be heavily involved. You still have to be the one to be like, no, I want it like this, or we're gonna roll it out like this. And I'm not saying that he did or didn't do that, but it just feels like with that situation, there wasn't like I didn't even like
We
was
didn't
there a
know it
sig-
was dropping. We
I
didn't
did
know.
yeah, like I
We
didn't know
didn't
it was,
know.
a lot of people didn't know it was dropping. It kind of just came out.
Some people try to use that as strategy, but um, in this game where everybody likes to focus on the first week sales, it's not a strategy if you're not like Jay Z or Beyonce.
Yeah, I call that the Beyonce strategy. Like
Yeah,
that's after years and years and years of putting out
loyal fan base.
consistent number ones, consistent and building such a fan built they don't even that's not even a fan base. That's like a
Super fan. Yeah,
super
super
fan base.
cult
A
get
cult, yeah.
cult
That's
following.
when you got a cult following, then you can just drop in and then all your cult is just gonna just flock to it.
Do what it do.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But if you're in just regular fan base mode, you got to work up to that. So I think that wasn't a very good strategy to use for them to just drop it like that. And for all we know, we don't know if that's a label thing or what. But you know, part of doing it yourself and being ingrained and communicating with your fans and knowing what they want. I think that's very like that's critical. When it comes to doing things yourself, it's critical. You got to know what the fans want. You got to be ingrained every day, day in, and sometimes artists lose touch. With everything that's going around them, sometimes they lose touch.
What do you think like what do you think like with the labels? Like the labels now, it's like there was a time when you would say the label would be able to help, most artists. But historically we noticed that most labels have been behind for some time now. It's not like how, the Def Jams and the Loud used to have their fingers on the pulse, of what was going on, like they would create the trend.
I
Like
think,
now it seems like everybody's trying to catch the trends. And
yeah,
I'm wondering in his particular case, like, you know, we knew somebody dropped the ball because, like you said, nobody knew it was coming out, and also like it was happening with a lot of his venues. Like the venues weren't being promoted, and I'm noticing that he had to cancel some venues and some things like that because of low ticket sales.
hmm
You know, do you think that they believe their own hype?
well, that comes back to what I just said about losing touch. You know, yeah, that could definitely be part of it. But I think in his situation, I think there's a couple of things that's going on in the situation, and one of them we're going to touch in the next topic. Um, but with the baby, it's like a perfect storm. It's it's number one, let the label, relying on the label. Number two, he had a couple of issues, negative press. Number three, um, um, his music um, didn't grow. Like
I think it's the same.
it was the same, and I was seeing a lot of people just tired of that same thing and wanted a little bit of growth or something, which is kind of ironic because there are some artists that the fans want you to grow, and there's some fans the artists want you to be like, I want you to stay on that or stay how you was. So it's
I feel like he's too early to switch. Like he's like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like he's amigos that have, like, several, years in it, and and
yeah.
you have to switch a little bit. He didn't have to switch so quickly, and they were saying that was part of the problem, was that he started to kind of veer off from what he used to do,
Mm,
and it's not resonating, right? Because that, and then I'm not sure if he's has the same video team, because I know his video team
hmm
was a very, very large reason why he was successful, because those guys were just super creative with the visuals. So
That goes back to what I said about being in touch. If you believe in your own hype, you're not in touch. You start making decisions that your fans is not with. You have to know if your fans want you to step it up, or your fans want you to remain the same. You know, and you get a lot of that. And it jumps from artist to artist. Like I said, some artists they want the artist to stay the same. They want Jeezy to stay the same. They want him to be the old snowman. Gucci. They want him to be the old, Gucci. They want that old, but it really depends. And if you're not in tune to what's going on, if your finger's not on the pulse, you're not heavily ingrained on what's going on, then when you're making these decisions, you're gonna make the wrong decision. So you have to be fully involved in every aspect of your career. You know, you have to have your finger on the pulse. And you asked a question earlier about these record labels, what's happening, and a lot of them want the quick flip. A lot of labels just want the quick flip. Additionally, there's too many artists on a lot of these labels.
yeah,
Um,
that has always been the issue. The
you
issue
know,
since the advent of streaming and independence,
they just
like there's too many artists, and they don't know what to do with
it's like they're just signing
95%
artists,
of them.
but it's like they're just signing them just for the just for the tax write off, and to keep the lights on. It's just too many artists, so you can't really focus on an artist. There's no real A&R. That's like out the window. It's too time consuming, I guess, for these labels. So there's a lot of cracks in the major label system. A lot of cracks. You know, um, that's why, like, if you think about it, that's why a Coach K and P with what's the name of the label,
You see,
QC. Why they've been doing so well. They're ingrained. They're in the culture. They're ingrained in what's going on. Their fingers on the pulse. They know what's going on. Like these smaller sub companies usually do a whole lot better. The Rockefellers, even from back in the
because
days, the
if you
Rough Riders, the Murder Inks, like all of those, have always done uh, so much better. Because they're
if you
ingrained.
think about it, it's because they're kind of niche down. They know the niche that they're good at, and they
Right.
kind of stick to that. Um, yeah, I think over the years we've seen what the label dependency can do to you. Um, I think like, and then also you can also see too when the sentiment of the label kind of goes against the artist, right? And I think
Mhm.
that segues into our next topic of the negative press. Not all press is good press, and that with the way things are being canceled now. negative press. I don't know if negative press really works the way that it used to, where people would say, "Oh, all press is good press." I think negative press now creates enemies or hidden enemies in places that you know, kind of work in tandem to kind of get you out of there. And, it's not necessarily a situation where it's like they're going to broadcast, they're going to cancel you. You just won't get
Yeah,
that placement, you won't get that playlist in, you won't get
that
that blog post.
the quote unquote blacklist.
Yeah. So it's a blacklist that's not really a blacklist, but people, see like a lot of negative things that are associated with you as an artist. And then, you know, they do a silent protest. So the folks that have platforms, they be like, you know what, I don't really like how this guy's moving. I'm not gonna really, I'm
But
not gonna
that's
put huh?
that's what's happening. Also, like that's one of the things that happened with the baby. You
Yeah.
know, he had a year of just a lot of negative press. A lot of things were happening. Shootings and all.
Right. From the comments, right? The was that
Hmm.
the comments,
Comments.
he had where he had to make the he had to make the apology, which
Yep. The altercations that she's been in.
altercations, lawsuits, the shootings.
Yeah,
So when you compound all of those things, um, you
it's a
know,
turnoff. It's a turnoff. It's a
people,
turnoff. It's a turnoff to fans or potential fans. It's a turnoff to people who want to work with you, whether it's featured artists or sponsors or promoters. Even people at the record label. Or, personally, you got to think about the people who are working your projects. They're regular people at the end of the day, man, and they have views and opinions. They come to do the job, but when they leave and they're like, "Yo, I don't like that dude, man. I don't like what the person said. I got a kid at home, or I got a family that that goes against
I
my
think you
whole."
need to, I think you need to really like we're trying to give y'all a jewel. Like we're trying to give you a jewel. Like I know that you think that people are at the label doing their job and they're going to do what they're supposed to do, but tell these folks again that if you're an artist that has a whole bunch of negative press and if you think that the people at the label are going to support that, right? They're going to be slow to move on your project. They're going to be slow to do this, slow to do their job. It's like a slow motion cancel that you think you wouldn't believe is happening, but it's happening when the label is not. If you've created a situation where the label is not riding with you, you're gonna feel it. And the
Yeah,
people that's supposed to do the jobs, they're not doing those jobs for you.
like let's be for real, man. Let me put it in context. If you go and like, even in his case, if you go and say something negative about a certain community,
Yep.
that that community, you know, the person who's your head of your marketing or could be part of that community. The person who's you know writing these blogs or giving you this press release could be part of that community. The person getting your stuff on the radio might be part of that community.
Community.
So, like, they're not just gonna be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do my job." These are people with opinions. These are people who have a lifestyle. you know, and everybody has a belief, everybody has a lifestyle. And if
Mhm.
you as an artist go out there and offend people, from different backgrounds, lifestyles, whatever, you know, you're gonna be canceled. You may not even see it coming. Like,
These folks are gonna slow. They're gonna slow walk your project.
yeah.
They're
Do
gonna
you really
slow.
think? Do
Yeah,
you
they're not
really?
gonna promote you.
Do you really think that you could insult someone, disrespect someone, their culture, their belief system, and you think you're going to walk into their office and they're going to go ahead and go all out and bat for you? You got another thing coming.
Got nothing coming. Yeah, it's real.
you
I
know,
don't think I don't think enough people really understand that. Don't
politics. That's
politics. It's
politics.
politics. It's a lot of
Okay.
politics.
So yeah, you want to go out there and say what you want, freedom of speech, and you want to just say this and say that, you know, but you better be careful of how you behave. be careful of how you move out there, because it'll work against you. And that's not just in this business. That's in every industry.
That's across the board. That's
That's across the
anywhere. That's
board.
life.
Yeah,
Like
that's a
that's
life
strict.
jewel.
That's a life jewel. Like that's not just a business. That's any place. And I think that's probably what's hurting him more than anything. I think people. I think you have a. I don't know if you remember even with like the time when Gucci was going through his things,
Hmm.
and then he keeps going in and out of jail, in and out of jail, and then you started to see the support start to wane, right? Because
Right.
it's like, hey, this guy just can't get it together, right? They just
Right.
and then when he finally got it together, it was like boom, right? Like
Yep.
it's like, oh my gosh, this is the new improved Gucci, and everybody was just like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? Like he has seen like meteoric type, coverage type things. And it's just like people don't like the negative press.
You
They
don't.
just they don't like it. Like as much as I don't know when the artists are going to realize that all press is not good press. The only reason why I think even Tory Lanez right now is even able to do what he's doing is because some of the stuff that's coming out in the press is coming out in his favor.
Right. Right.
Right? The narrative that we thought was the
Hmm.
narrative has
The,
slowly started to erode.
right.
And now people are like, oh, we were wrong about him. And then now they're like kind of like they're taking their foot off his neck a little bit
Yep.
because like they're seeing that okay, some of the things that they thought he did might not be necessarily what he did, even though the jury's still out on that.
It's
But
it's crazy, man. Like
that negative press, like you said, the negative press, people have their opinions. People are parts of communities that you cannot offend.
yeah,
Like you might want to say what you want to say. Just understand that if there are repercussions to that.
yeah.
Like, just
Because
understand that if you're not on your own platform, if you're using YouTube, if you're using, Facebook, there is a risk of cancellation.
yep, yep.
Like,
There's a lot of people when it comes to rolling out a successful project. There are a lot of people that's going to be involved in that project.
and they got
And
to be on board.
right, they got to be on board. There's going to be a lot of people from all different cultures, all different belief systems, all different communities. And then when you come out here and you start doing all of this and doing all of that and saying all these negative things, yeah, these people, quote unquote, supposed to do a job, but again, these are people with personal. Like think about it. If somebody's dissing you and saying all of this, you may not you're not gonna go hard. You're not gonna be 100 with them. You're not gonna like I ain't gonna do all of that for this dude. This dude is disrespecting my whole thing. I'm not gonna go ahead and give him such a great write up. I'm just gonna do the bare minimum just to keep my job. I'm just gonna do this just to say that I did it. Yeah, I sent it to the DJ, but I ain't call him. I ain't press him to play it. I sent it.
But I
You
ain't
know,
follow up. But
I ain't follow up.
I'm not following up on that.
Yeah, I sent the press release out, but I didn't put my stamp on it. I didn't like put my charm on it. I didn't lean on it to kind of give that influence. Nah, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's exactly what happens with a lot of these artists that um that come out and have that negative press. And it works the other way around. If you embrace all cultures, if you embrace this, you embrace that, it's funny that you start seeing certain people like is accepted and they're even when their music is not
Not that good.
that good, they're highlighted everywhere. And that's kind of like amusing to see that. That music ain't that, but it's because they know how to embrace everyone and not to offend, or if they do offend, they quickly to clean it up really fast, and you know, you see those people skyrocket. You see those people, and I'm gonna have to name no names on that one. You know, so all that to say is, bad press, negative press will hurt you. Yeah, it'll be entertaining to watch because people like to see people crash and burn. You know, You see it all day, scroll through it on the IG. Yeah, it's cool to see because that's what people want to see. But when it comes to supporting you, that's where the buck stops.
It's crazy, man. Like it's like I'm watching folks, basically they're just turning their back on them. Like I'm just watching it happen in real time, and I'm just like, okay, how does this happen so quick to somebody who's so talented? But like you said, a lot of negative press, a lot of negative press in the last year.
Yeah,
It's
nobody want to work with you when you have that
nobody
much
want to
negativity.
nobody want to
You,
deal with it.
you're gonna lose. You lose your endorsements. You lose deals. You start just losing things. Your bag just shrinks up.
And I think also what happens is like it's that thing that we say keeping it real goes wrong, right?
Yeah,
Like when keeping it real goes wrong, it's like I'm just being real. I'm just being like people are expecting you as you start to ascend that you're supposed to move different.
man. I really hate that term. The whole keeping it real, man, because you know it's just used and abused to the point where it it becomes like it destroys you.
Yeah,
It's self destructive. You know, yeah, keeping it real. Yeah, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. This dude did this, so I'm gonna run outside and go do this because I'm gonna keep it real. Yeah, keeping it real most usually puts you in bad
yeah,
situations
that situation.
in all levels of life. Put you in bad situations, man. And I think because you don't know the real definition of keeping it real, and keeping it real is really just trying to just do the right thing, man. Stay out the way, stay alive, you know, um, progress this culture, progress your life for your family. You want to stick around, you want to be around, you want to do the right things and be a good example and and have a great legacy to pass on.
it's
That's
it's
keeping it real.
it's crazy, man, because I saw something online the other day. I can't remember who it is. I'm about to steal his quote, but he said something where I was like, "Hey, you want to go to this party?" Like, yeah, I want to go to this party, but the ops is gonna be there. Like, all right, the ops is gonna be there. Let me just carry my gun. Why go?
Why go? Why bother going?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why go? And it's just like this is the mentality that's just off. Like, the
You
mentality
don't
is like
have to
you don't
go.
have to go. Like, what I'm saying? You could avoid it altogether.
Yeah, you could do
And
something
and
else.
and it was really something so similar. Like, you have to change the way that we're thinking and keeping it real. Like, I'm gonna, arm myself versus why put yourself in danger at all?
And
You know?
it doesn't mean that you're quote unquote scared or a punk or whatever the case may be, but you just got to look at it from a bigger picture. You're just taking a smarter route,
Right.
you know.
Because
Like
it can still go you could be armed and still go either way.
yeah, like why risk it? If you know there's a 60% chance, 70% chance that things are gonna go wrong if you go that way. Why do that? Why put yourself in that situation? You know,
Again, it's the mentality. It's the mentality, and I guess we're gonna have to probably do an episode and start to ask ourselves the questions like, is the music really detrimental to the community?
mm,
Because what we're seeing
wow.
now is seeing a lot of bad decisions being made.
A lot of bad decisions and a lot of drill music is being banned. I've seen a thing on in London that they've been banning drill music, and you have to get some sort of permission or something to even record it or something.
I would I didn't think it would be this way. You know, we had a we quickly gravitated to that when it first came out. A few, you know, what we're talking about, almost 10 years now, give or take,
Yeah,
right? Give or take, um, as the Chicago kids kind of ushered it in, and we had a whole tape, dedicated to that
mm,
type of instrumental, that type of sound.
hmm,
Um, Not realizing that it was uh so violent, or that it was perpetuating the violence.
right.
Because now, the issue is that they're talking about each other and they're using those. the reason that you talked about me or talked about my dead friend as a reason to, go out and commit more crimes or retaliate.
Yeah,
It's just wild.
they said a 17-year-old just got killed in the Bronx. Rapper, some upcoming rapper. I don't know his name, but they said it's because he mentioned names in the song, and that was the retaliation. I mean, I just saw something. I didn't get to read the details, but
It's just crazy, bro.
like
Like
man,
it's really crazy, bro.
like these songs are actually used to antagonize other people.
Opposition. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like we're seeing it, and
they're
it's
not
like
even they're not even technically used for to be hits and this and that, but they're used as messages. And it just so happened that these messages are put on music, and it ends up becoming an act, quote unquote, a record. You know, um,
so
it's
not
a
so, so not only are they snitching on themselves on records, because that's really what's happening. You're snitching on
mm,
yourself. You're implicating yourselves in crimes. You're using it to antagonize your other ops, and
yeah,
then it's just what's causing all the retaliation. But look, we're the only community that's dying behind it all.
yeah,
Like I've never seen anything like this. And you have to ask yourself sometimes. Sometimes when you see that, you get to you 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 say to yourself, because we have kids now, right? And it's no longer just being influenced to shave your head or you know or wear Adidas. Um, the influence now is so much different.
yeah. I think also I was telling someone that this week that there isn't enough variety promoted. There needs to be just more variety promoted of music. You know, um, you know, for a good moment, it was all you heard was just drill.
Yeah,
And it didn't matter. It didn't even matter which region of the country you were in. Like that's all you heard. There was no music that was synonymous with the region that you were in. Like if I go to Atlanta, I want to hear Atlanta music. If I want to go to New York, I want to hear New York, hip New York music. If I go to LA, I want to hear LA music. You know what I'm saying? But when you start saying New York, sound change, to drill, it's like what's happening here. It's like you're searching for an identity. And it's got so bad, and this kind of just ties into just negative press. This ties into what we're saying, just being the whole bad press, because all of these things is just bad press, just not for the artists, but for the culture. And
but
nobody wants
that's
to give out deals and opportunities with all of these this bad press.
what's happening. Like you said, is that you know it's not going to stop until the bag starts to dry up.
Yeah.
When the bags start to dry up, when the promotional opportunities start to remove itself, when the venues start to close, then it'll change, right?
Mhm.
And it's the same thing like what's happening in California and those type of things. Okay, what the people who bring the money into the town need to stop going, right? And until you guys stand down, stop robbing people, stop trying to take getting licks. We're not giving you the opportunity to do it. Stand down, and basically we're going to starve it out, and that's what's going to happen. They always say that if you ever wanted to stop, like say police violence, it says just insure everybody, right? Once the insurance company had to pay out for all those wrongful deaths, it would stop. And
Mm.
it's the
Yeah.
same situation. It's the same situation here. It's like once you stop the money, it'll stop.
Wow. Say that again. Say
No,
that
they would always say like if you wanted to stop certain violence in certain areas, attach an insurance policy. If you attach insurance, if there was $1 million insurance policy to everybody that lost their life, you would best you would believe that the killing would stop.
These insurance companies will go hard.
Yeah, it would stop because they wouldn't want to keep paying out all this money. It would stop. You know what I'm saying? And they would make sure that the police and the politicians and everybody else was on it. But what happened is there's no value attached to our lives.
Mm.
See what I'm saying? So that's the reason why they're like, hey, you guys can go out here, kill each other. You guys can go out and, you know, listen to this music that's basically, turning your kids into killers. Like,
Because we're the
like
only ones
say
we're the only ones suffering.
again?
We're the only ones suffering. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, granted, I've always liked aggressive music. Let's go there. I don't want anybody to feel like as if I don't like aggressive music. You know my favorites are. My
Yep.
favorites are the Mobb Deeps, the MOPs,
MOP. Mm-hmm.
the Onyx, the Wu Tangs.
Mm-hmm.
This is aggressive music. I've always loved aggressive music. If it wasn't aggressive, I didn't like to listen to it. Don't get me wrong. I liked my tribe here and some things like that, whatever, so forth and so on. But for the most part, we wanted aggressive music. But there's aggressive music and then there's deadly music.
Mm.
It's going from aggressive to deadly,
There's a
and it's
difference.
like, and you have to ask yourself, it's like, yo, are we really this mentally challenged to the point where we can't value, the lives right now? It's just, it'd be one thing if the violence was getting people rich. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're talking about the violence in the 80s that came along with the drug game, there was money. People were getting rich, and there was they were opposing sides trying to get rich based on the violence, prohibition, anything you want to try to say. Okay, you had gangs, and all right, there were gangs, but it was because this faction was trying to get move on this faction and trying to get impede on their money, and that's what caused violence.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even see that happening. Like, it's not even about that. It's just
About nothing.
about nothing. It's about nothing, and it's like, it'd be one thing if we were talking about that. Not that I'm condoning it or anything like that.
Right.
I'm just
Right.
saying
Right.
in general, just like, it's just weird to see it going like this, and every week a rapper's killed every single week. Um, and then the negative press is going crazy, and then people are wondering why certain music ain't selling. It's like, this can be the protest of the labels on the back end. Could be saying, folks in the labels can be like, you know what, we're not promoting it anymore. You guys gonna have to do it on your own. And I just hope that folks can get it together. It's a sad state of music right now, and sometimes you wonder, it's like, do you want to even contribute to this?
Mm-hmm.
It's culture that's
You know what it
going
is?
totally negative at this point.
You know what it is? It's like Stockholm syndrome, or that battered wife syndrome. Like, you just holding on, like hoping that it's gonna flip and see a new day, because hip hop is just has so many cycles. You know what I'm saying? So you're just hoping, like, okay, we could just hold in there until it flips over, until when
It's
it's
something
all
else.
it's something else that's a whole lot better, more fun, this and
It's
that.
not flipping, bro.
But it's man, it's taking a whole long time. You
Listen,
know,
I don't think it's gonna flip anytime soon, and the reason why I say that is because economically, right? There's, we're about to go through some dark times as a
yeah,
nation, right?
yeah. Hmm.
Not to be too political, but they're talking about, you know, Ukraine joining NATO, and then that basically will put us in the crosshairs for World War III,
Yeah, yep.
right? How do you do that with inflation, gas? Who's having fun? Where's the fun music? It's going to be a lot of dark music coming out, in the next few months. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
If we're taking all of the true life situations, if we're taking now, we're gonna see folks. We're gonna see extreme poverty in a minute, bro. Like, in ways that people are not really used to, and you're gonna see some real ridiculous antics because, again, folks just came out of a 2-year lockdown. You know, like, we're talking about mental illness at levels that we've never seen. So I don't even know. I don't know where this gonna go, bro. Like, the music is reflecting. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm thinking the music is reflecting the level of mental illness.
and then it's feeding it back into the community,
and it's feeding it back in. It's amplifying the mental illness that's happening in society right now. That's what I'm feeling is happening, and that's why it seems so chaotic. That's why it seems so dark. That's why it seems so violent. It's like, yo, it's really people putting their experience. And if your experience is dark, if you've gone through some things, if you've experienced a lot of loss, whatever, it's going into the music and it's coming back out. And it's kind of creating this perpetual loop of negative energy, which is like kind of like, why does it feel like that?
And then with the mental illness, you can't even decipher like you don't know you can't break it up.
You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on.
You don't know what's entertainment, what's not. It's all entertainment. It's all a mess.
Bro, people are being triggered very quickly over nothing. Like, you're watching people just be triggered like over nothing. Like, everything is escalating into violence. Like, just over nothing. Like, you can't. You would have to be a fool to be looking at this stuff and say to yourself that this is not supreme levels of mental illness.
Sorry to be all doom and gloom, fellas, ladies.
People, listen. It's part of. I say that because I want the artists that are coming in to understand what lies here for you, and how you have to navigate it. Like, again, I'm a huge proponent on this industry. I love this industry for what it's done for my life and for my family. Right.
Right.
But I also want to warn people and say, listen, you have to be strong mentally to deal with what comes with the success and even the non-success, right?
Right.
Because can you deal with the high of being, celebrity and the low of being nobody? Some people can't deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta risk it all to be somebody, and then you wind up risking your life and making poor decisions because you can't shake the addiction to fame or notoriety.
Man, they I'm telling you, they don't talk about it, man.
They don't talk about it. So I want to make sure that it's balanced. That, hey, we're trying to show you how to get into it, but we also want you to get in and survive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like don't get into it to get yourself jammed up and lose yourself and lose your family, because you're trying to get into a business that, like I said, it's most times designed to destroy you.
Yeah, this is not just the music business podcast. This is the music life podcast. Be clear.
Change it, like, the music life, because it's like this industry, man, and it's like this industry is beautiful on certain levels. But the things that I've seen, the places that I've gone, the things that I've experienced, love it, beautiful in that situation. But there's also some dark times. Like, there's some dark times when that phone stopped ringing. How you gonna manage that?
Yeah. How you gonna manage, like, being able to walk in a spot and have, one season it's all cheers and, hey, well, come on in, sir.
Yeah.
Come on in. Hey, we got your drink set up. We got yours set up. Your car parked right in the front. And then a couple seasons later, might even be the next season later. Who are you, sir? Oh, sorry, you gotta wait in line.
What you want here?
You gotta wait in line. Oh, no, sorry, you gotta pay to get in. Who are you? Like, how do you navigate through that?
How do you navigate when people tell you that you're not relevant?
Yeah, you're not hot.
You're not hot.
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna, sit and mope and are you gonna jump on drugs and just, these are real life situations. This has happened.
When someone behind the desk says, "Hey, you're no longer notable."
Yeah. You see it all the time.
You see it all the time. Like,
time.
What? Like,
you know how many times I and it's funny because, like, the other day, I remember reaching out to for a few artists on a major label, hit them up in their DMs and hit them up someplace, right? When they, you know, they start to pop.
Right.
Reached out to them, no response, right? All right, no problem. I go on and I'll hook up with other people and making some things that wave. Like a season later, they lose their deal. And now they're scrolling through all their DMs trying to reconnect or connect with the people that
they ignored.
Now, because you, got it. No doubt. I got you. No doubt. It's all right. We got you. It's all right. It happens. So,
as they said, what happened? You got to remember the people you see when you're going up, be the same people you see when you're coming down.
Yeah. We don't hold no grudge on that because we've been in this business long enough to know how it goes. So yeah, okay. When we see that happen, okay, we'll connect later. We'll connect later when it's
we just had a technical difficulty. We just got clicked off the screen. What just happened?
I guess that's our time to go.
I guess that algorithm was like, "Hey, you guys talking too crazy."
Yeah, they're trying to stop us, man. They trying to, are you giving out too much jewels and this and that?
They were like, nah, they're like, y'all talking too crazy now. Like the system done heard us and said, no, we ain't going for it. But yo, that's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, folks, man. Like, listen, man, make sure you following us at Arkatech Beatz.
Yeah, they're definitely blurring out.
Listen,
they're definitely blurring out the content.
YouTube, listen.
Wow.
Listen, we on Rumble now. Patreon coming. Listen, we everywhere. Just tap in. And if you like what we're doing, share it with a friend, man. Share it with a friend. We're trying to help folks navigate this music business, this music life, like you said. It's a life. It's a lifestyle. And so people that are really in it, they understand that.
Yeah. You know? There's a lot of sacrifices, a lot of things that you have to do to be successful. And we hope that we provided some information to kind of help you navigate through this. It's definitely difficult, challenging, but if you're moving right and you're making the right decisions, you're being cautious, you're listening, you're learning, you're following up, you're doing your research, you're doing all of these things, you can be very successful in this business. And that could ultimately change your life, change your life of your family. And hey, you be an inspiration to others.
So next time, folks.
Peace.
Arkatech Beatz.